Hello everybody, welcome back to Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and we're back on the Troy bilt. Of course, I haven't stopped yet. We're going to change the rear end in this thing simply because I test drove this yesterday and it doesn't sound good, the rear end. Something's not sitting right. When you go forward, it just wants to click, but it doesn't go very good. So I went and tried to push forward on the forward lever, and as long as I hold pressure on it, it won't jump out. So that tells me something's not clicking in place. So we're going to change the rear end and put another rear end in it. So the first thing we want to do is have our trunk coffee. And we'll put this on the burner and we'll be back. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to jack it up and get it off the ground far enough that we can get the wheels off of it. Alright, so now we need to take the brakes off of it. So we're going to take a 10 millimeter and we're going to remove the brakes. So then we just take and remove that and set that aside. And then you got your metal plate for behind your pad, which goes up against the pistons to keep pistons from pushing against the asbestos. Yes, I said asbestos. Then you slide your rotor off and then your other pad. Alright, then we're going to set that aside. Can't put it on the other rear end until we get the rear end in. So then we'll come over here to this side and we pull the pin for the shifter, which is right here. So you pull that down and move it out of the way, and almost hit you guys. Alright, so then we'll stick this pin back in just so we don't lose it. Alright, so now looks to me like we got to take these two front bolts out, which look like they're probably a 13 also. Yep. So we'll take these two out. Alright, so now we've got those. Now we need to take the pulley off on top. Alright, so now that we've got this pulley off, we shouldn't have to take this off because the it's mounted to the frame. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. I was looking at that belt hitting that, but I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Alright, so now the only thing we got left to do is these two bolts here and these two bolts here, and this rear end is ready to come out. So now we've got the rear end out. And now we can put the other one in. We're just going to set this in place. Alright, so now I can take my knee, hold up on it, to put the first nut on. And we'll put our second nut on it. Now we got to take them off and put our plates on it. But I'm just holding it up there right now. So now we got to hook our linkage back up for the shifter, and that's just as simple as take it and turn it around. Put her in place. And then put our key in. And that will shift it. And that's neutral right there. Alright, so now everything underneath is pretty much done. So now we can take and put our pulley on it. Back on it. So now we take our pulley and put our belt on it. Alright, now we get to tighten that down. So now that we got that done, the next thing I'll do is put the wheels on it. So before I do that though, I've already cleaned them up, but it was out in the weather, so it got a little surface rust on it. So we'll just take some steel wool and just clean that rust off of it. Alright, so now we'll take some bearing grease and we'll just smear some on it. Now this is supposed to have one of them sleeves on it, but I don't have any. And eventually I'll 3D print one, but it's not going to go any further than that. It's just something to keep the shaft from getting exposed to the weather. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. And then we'll stick our wheel back on it. So now we'll come over here and do our brakes, which I should have done before I put the wheel on it. Now we've already got our rotor on with our brake pad in the back. See it right there? So we got the brake pad on here and we got our metal piece plate underneath of it. And we want to hook up our pedal, put our brake pad back in it if I don't quit losing everything. It's a little tricky. And then you push it up on there, tighten your bolts down. And I shouldn't have to adjust them, they should already be adjusted. Alright, so now we can put our wheel back on. So now we need to take it back down. So there's the rear end installed. The belt's on it. Pulley's tight. So this basically just shifts. And that should be neutral right there. Yep. That's neutral. Forward. Alright. So now tomorrow, well today, we'll retest it, but that won't be until the next video. I just wanted to show how to put that rear end in so that you guys can see how those go together. But I'm interested in take that one apart and figure out why it's doing that. I hope we don't find out that both of them's the same. Show you my fender, where I redone the fender. I put the black on it, on the bottom there, and you guys probably can't even see. So I went and took the black and painted around here to cover all that was rusted up, because I went and sanded it and wire wheeled it and everything and got all the rust off of it and then masked it off and painted it. So now it looks like it was actually made that way from the factory. Same thing down here. The bottom was in pretty good shape. So then we went and did the deck. The deck is same thing I did to the John Deere, redone everything. And on this pulley right here, you notice it's different than most rollers. This roller here was wallered out so bad that it's just flopping around on here. So on the pin, and the pin's only 1/2 inch pin. So this hole was wallered out to about 9/16 or bigger, and wallered out real big on the back side of it, or the ends, real bad. So I took a piece of 1 inch aluminum stock, drilled a 1/2 inch hole in it, and then bored another 2 millimeters out of it. So because this pin is a little messed up, and drilled through here, and then I took this roller and drilled with a 1 inch drill bit on the lathe, and then pressed this aluminum inside this plastic with the hydraulic press over there. And listen to how smooth that thing rides. Can't even hardly hear it. You can't even hear it until it goes up against that. So this deck is ready to go back in, and I haven't decided on which way this is supposed to go in. I may have to replace a washer here, because this one's got a washer all the way around right here. This one's broke on the one side. So I may have to put a washer on that. But I'm not sure if it goes that way, pointing down, like this. I think it goes like that right there. I don't imagine it would go like that. But it may, I don't know. If you guys know, tell me, man. Does this go like that? Or does it go like that? I've tried to look for YouTube videos on watching somebody pull their decks out from under their tractors. The problem is, every one of them that I come up with are 42-inch decks. They don't have this same deck. So they just have a single rod that goes up and goes into a hole. This one's got that rack. So I'm not real sure how that goes. I guess it's if you guys don't tell me, I'll have to do trial and error. And then I'll have to get mad at you all. But hopefully this will be a nice tractor when I'm done. I also printed, let me show you that. I 3D printed a plate, and I printed 2 of them. They're slightly different. This one here is the plate that I made the first time. And what I did in my 3D print, on 2 sides, this one you can't hardly tell, but there's a little round spot right there that protrudes from the edge of this. And I printed this one first, and it's to cover the hole where the gauge was in, or the amp meter was in, or hour meter, or whatever that thing was. And this one here just flopped in. It really didn't snap into place. So I went and made that round part come out further on that one. Now that one popped in. So now if I ever want to use it for a switch for something else, or make something else to put in there, I can do that. Maybe a lighter. Who knows? I could use a lighter in there. You know, a smoker's got to have a way to light our cigarettes, right? Now, I used to have lighters on all my lawnmowers, but I quit doing that. I'm trying to give up smoking. I don't want them anymore, but I still do it. As you can see that? But, yeah, I test drove it today, and it clicked in the forward position, and I had to push up on the lever just to get it to stay in gear. So, but everything else worked great. The parking brake works great. The throttle, the choke, the switch, the PTO I haven't tested yet. We got that back together, and I think we're getting somewhere. So we know the deck is in good shape. That's a 50-inch. I painted this with heat paint, and it kind of makes it look like those 2 are plastic. I reckon the joke's on them, right? Anyway, I hope you guys watching this video and seeing what you needed to see, because if you're watching this video, it's because you needed to know how to take that out and put it back in. Now, I don't know how good my editing is going to be on this video, because the air compressor kicked on me, and I had to wait for that to get stopped before I could speak again, because it's right there. That's why I hate an air compressor inside the shop. Never put your air compressor inside your shop. I always make a lean-to roof on the side of my shop and put my air compressor outside, so that when I'm in the shop, I don't hear that thing coming on. That thing, when it comes on, it'll scare you to death, especially if you're sitting here bead blasting. You're sitting here bead blasting, man, this thing will scare the shit out of you, because it's got a big squeak to it, because the belt slips on it just enough to make you cringe. I saved my stickers for the deck, and I'm going to put this back on it. That paint just flopped right off of there. And I saved that, but I'm not going to use it. I don't need it. But I hope this helped you guys to know how to take your rear end out. I believe that was a Tough Torque rear end. So I'm sure it'll be in the description by the time I upload this. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.